nonprofit advocacy group for the St. Johns River.
And our mission is to help protect the river.
Hello, welcome once again to the St. Johns Riverkeeper Show. I'm Jimmy Ort, the Executive Director of St. Johns Riverkeeper, and I'm here as usual with my co-host, Neil Armington, your St. Johns Riverkeeper.
Jimmy, how's everything?
Good. Happy New Year to you, Neil, and Happy New Year to all of you out there.
Exactly.
This is our first show of the new year, and we're excited.
New decade.
A lot of really interesting things to catch up on. We have, it's hard to even know where to begin, Neil, because there is so many issues that are happening right now regarding the river that we need to let you know about. And also, we're going to tell you about some exciting news from our perspective. It's our 10-year anniversary, which we're going to talk about a little bit on this show, which we're very excited about. And before we do that, Neil, I always, we like to start the show by giving folks out there who may not be familiar with St. Johns Riverkeeper a little bit of background about who we are and what we do as an organization.
Well, St. Johns Riverkeeper is a citizens organization. We are all about the St. Johns River. We're a 501 nonprofit, and we are citizens working together to protect and restore our greatest natural resource, which is the beautiful St. Johns River.
Yeah, and Neil, we're also, I want people to realize that we are a membership-based group.
Yep.
We're an independent voice for the St. Johns, so that means being independent. We're not relying on public funding from government agencies or sources. We rely on you. We rely on the citizens. We rely on businesses, individuals, and family foundations to help keep this work alive, Jimmy, and keep it going. So we encourage you to go to our website. The website will be up on the screen numerous times throughout the show. There's a way you can join very easily. We encourage you to get involved, join, become a part of the work that we do, because we are dependent upon you to make this work happen. So, and it's important, Neil. Some of the stuff that we do is obviously the St. Johns River needs an advocate, a voice that will look out for its best interest, and that's what we try to do. We try to look out for the best interest of the river, but then also your best interest, because as Neil always likes to say, what's best for the river is best for all of us in our community.
Absolutely, Jim.
So. Get involved and go to the website, and you can learn a lot about what we do. There's a lot of things going on. First, Neil, let's talk about some exciting news, and that's the 10-year anniversary.
Yep.
We're 10 years and we're still standing.
That's right. We're still here. We're still having the Riverkeeper show, and yeah, it's Jimmy, we've been in touch with some of the people that were there at the very beginning. For people that may not know, over 10 years ago, a group of citizens, I always describe them really as visionaries, kind of looked into the future, saw some of the problems facing the river, and I think the most important decision they made was the government in and of itself was not going to protect the river, kind of involve the community in the management of the river, and they wanted to do something different, something that had been done in other communities, but had not done here. And in 1999, we've talked about that process. We were licensed under something called the Waterkeeper Alliance, which is a national organization that kind of is an umbrella group for all of us. And 10 years ago, we began in this community. An entity unknown to a lot of people began, and here we are 10 years later, and we're still moving forward on our goal, our dream of having a clean and healthy St. Johns River.
Well, it's interesting, Neil. During this 10 years, I've been going back, looking through the archives, looking at old photos, old newspaper headlines, and it's really interesting to track the progress of the organization.
Right.
And as you mentioned, dating back to really, it was in before '99, group of people started talking about this, including Ron Littlepage, the columnist for the Times-Union. I saw an article from 1997 where Ron said, the St. Johns River needs a riverkeeper.
Right.
And that is, I think, gave a little bit of impetus to these citizens that had been thinking along the same lines and decided, let's get together, get people from different backgrounds and try to find some common ground, form this group, and then let's get started on trying to advocate for the restoration of the St. Johns River. And so it's interesting looking back, and some of the same, what I thought was interesting is seeing that some of the same issues that were so pertinent 10 years ago, we're still dealing with today.
Absolutely.
And I know you can tell some more about some of those issues that the organization started out looking at bacteria and sedimentation. And
Well, we'll talk a little later in more detail. Nitrogen and phosphorus pollution, nutrient pollution was a big issue. Even as long ago as 10 years ago, Jimmy, we spent a better part of last year on our shows talking about water and water issues and the problems with thinking about the St. Johns River as a water source. That was on the horizon. Public access. You've been reading, the mayor has a new campaign to make the river more accessible to us, the citizens in this community. That was an issue. Fishing, potential impacts of wetland loss on the fishery, which we know now through all types of issues is not what it was probably 10 years ago. Partially that's due to water quality and habitat loss. But the reason like I said, I do kind of look at those people as visionaries because, here we are 10 years later. They started us on a course to deal with these, and we've made progress. I don't want people out there thinking, well, what have they been doing for the last 10 years? I mean, we have made progress, but as I always tell people, we've made progress and much work remains, and that's why we need people watching this show to not only participate in our 10th birthday, if you will, but recommit, as we will do this year, to achieving our goal, which is a river that is healthy, supports a great variety of wildlife, and is accessible to all of us.
Right. Well, I think, as you mentioned, clearly, and you can go to our website and you can see some of the information and issues that I'm talking about that confirm this, but we've made progress. There's certainly some things that we've really, because Riverkeeper, and I say Riverkeeper, that is a lot of you out there watching are members. It's not Neil and I have been successful. It's this organization, which represents thousands of people, has been successful in addressing these problems and making some significant progress. But as you said, there is a lot that still needs to be done. So what we're saying this year is, yes, let's look back, reflect on the past, let's celebrate our victories that we've had, but let's also, as you said, recommit ourselves and focus on what we need to do in the next 10 years to get closer to that goal of a clean and healthy river, which is what we're on that path trying to do.
Jimmy, it'd be great for us to sit here and say, well, we've dealt with nitrogen pollution, but as we talked about this past year, anybody that saw the river this summer of 2009 knows we still have some work ahead. We had yet another visit from the green monster. We had really substantial blue-green algae blooms. Those are the ones that are toxic, can be toxic. They're caused by too much nitrogen going into the river. We're still involved with the water issue, although I think we've made some real progress, certainly in the last year on that issue. We still, during rainfall events, we get calls from people who see their creek turn muddy and realize something's wrong. And we're, unfortunately in Florida, we still haven't really come to appreciate the valuable benefits that wetlands provide all of us. And we still see cases where wetlands are being destroyed for developments or projects. I had a woman yesterday call me from Clay County, and she's concerned that there's a housing project that's going to impact some old wetlands around Lake Keystone. So, we're making progress, but as you said, Jimmy, we've got a ways to go.
Well, I do want to focus before we turn to some of the issues. I want to continue on this 10-year anniversary and let everyone know there's a lot of opportunities to celebrate.
Oh, absolutely.
And reasons to celebrate.
Sure.